In the summer of 1661, a man built something so magnificent that it quietly sealed his fate. He was not a rebel, he was not a traitor, he was not plotting against the crown, he was intelligent, he was loyal, he was powerful, and within weeks everything he built collapsed. He was arrested, publicly humiliated, stripped of power, imprisoned for life, not for raising an army, not for speaking against the throne, but for shining too brightly in front of a king. This is the first law of power. Never outshine the master. At first glance, the law sounds almost cynical. Why should excellence be punished? Why should brilliance be dangerous? Why should loyalty and service not protect someone? The answer lies in something deeper than logic. It lies in ego. It lies in identity. It lies in the invisible psychological mechanisms that govern every hierarchy in human history. His name was Nicolas Fouquet. He served under the young King of France, Louis XIV. At the time, the king was ambitious, proud, and deeply aware of his symbolic role. France had endured instability and civil unrest in previous decades. Authority needed to be consolidated, the monarchy needed to project dominance, and Louis XIV understood something instinctively. Power must never appear fragile. Fouquet was appointed superintendent of finances. He inherited a strained financial system. He worked tirelessly to restore stability. He negotiated. He reorganized. He strengthened economic structures. He proved indispensable. He was admired for his intelligence, respected for his capability, and envied for his influence. But he possessed something dangerous. He possessed visible excellence. In a monarchy, excellence is safe only when it reinforces the throne. It becomes dangerous when it rivals it. Fouquet commissioned the construction of a palace named Vaux-le-Vicomte. It was not simply luxurious, it was revolutionary. The gardens were designed with geometric perfection. The fountains reflected candlelight in shimmering symmetry. The architecture balanced elegance with authority. Every corridor, every courtyard, every illuminated pathway communicated refinement and power. It was a statement, and statements in hierarchical systems are rarely neutral. On August 17, 1661, Fouquet invited the king to attend a grand celebration at the palace. The intention was clear. He wanted to impress the king, to demonstrate loyalty, to showcase devotion. The evening unfolded with breathtaking spectacle. Music echoed through illuminated gardens. A theatrical performance captivated the aristocracy. Fireworks burst across the night sky. Hundreds of candles reflected in water features and polished stone. The elite guests were astonished. They whispered admiration. They spoke of brilliance. They marveled at the scale. But the king was silent, because when Louis XIV walked those grounds, he did not simply see beauty, he saw comparison. And comparison is dangerous. Comparison challenges hierarchy. It plants questions in the mind. If he can command this loyalty, how much influence does he hold? If he can build this grandeur, how much admiration does he receive? If others are impressed by him, how does that reflect on me? Power is not only about authority, it is about perception, and perception can threaten identity. 3 weeks later, royal musketeers arrested Nicolas Fouquet. He was accused of corruption. He was tried in a prolonged legal process. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. He would never return to power. His palace was seized. Its architects were absorbed into royal service. From that inspiration, the king built Versailles, a palace designed not merely to inspire admiration, but to eliminate rivalry. Fouquet did not challenge the throne directly, he challenged it symbolically, and symbolism is powerful. To understand this fully, we must examine the psychology of dominance. Authority is not just structural, it is emotional. When someone holds power, their position becomes intertwined with their identity. They do not simply occupy a role, they embody status. When that status appears threatened, even subtly, the brain interprets it as danger. Neuroscience shows us that social threats activate similar neural pathways as physical threats. Embarrassment, humiliation, and perceived replacement trigger defensive reactions. And defensive reactions in powerful individuals often manifest as elimination strategies. Not necessarily violence, but removal, isolation, demotion, exclusion. The first law of power is rooted in this biological reality. Never outshine the master because superiority must remain visible and unquestioned. This principle extends far beyond monarchies. It operates in modern corporations, in academic institutions, in political parties, in creative industries, in social circles. Imagine a corporate boardroom. A senior executive presents a strategy. You identify a flaw and propose a superior alternative. The room responds positively. Colleagues nod in agreement. The atmosphere shifts. You feel validated, but the executive feels exposed. Even if the correction improves the outcome, it alters emotional equilibrium. Hierarchy is not merely about outcomes, it is about stability. At first nothing appears different, then slowly, subtle changes occur. You are no longer invited into strategic conversations, your feedback is acknowledged but not prioritized, your influence plateaus. The explanation is rarely explicit, but the mechanism is emotional. You unintentionally triggered insecurity. Highly competent individuals often struggle with this dynamic. They assume merit guarantees advancement. They believe excellence is self-protective, but power systems are rarely meritocratic in pure form. They are emotional ecosystems designed to preserve order. Order depends on authority. Authority depends on perception. Perception depends on visible superiority. The most strategically intelligent individuals understand calibration. They do not suppress talent, they align it. They frame ideas as extensions of leadership vision. They elevate superiors publicly. They protect egos strategically. This is not manipulation. It is awareness of human psychology. There are moments when outshining becomes necessary, when independence is secured, when leadership is collapsing, when replacement is inevitable. But premature brilliance with independency is dangerous. Fouquet miscalculated timing. He believed loyalty was obvious. He underestimated the emotional impact of comparison. He believed excellence would be admired. He failed to recognize that excellence can threaten. This law is not about diminishing yourself. It is about understanding structure. It is about recognizing that visibility must be managed. It is about knowing when to expand and when to align. Sometimes restraint is not weakness, it is strategic patience. History remembers Fouquet as brilliant, but brilliance alone did not protect him. Because brilliance does not neutralize insecurity. Power protects itself, ego defends itself, perception shapes destiny. Sometimes the most dangerous action is not rebellion, it is comparison. And sometimes the most powerful skill is not intelligence, it is awareness of hierarchy. In every system, whether royal or corporate, whether political or social, there exists an invisible equilibrium. Disturb it carelessly, and resistance forms. Disturb it strategically, and transition becomes possible. Wisdom is not simply knowing how to shine, it is knowing when to shine, and when to redirect the spotlight. Because in hierarchical systems, perception is power, and power always protects itself.